So let's have a small discussion about Sejuani. Sejuani doesn't get that much play in League of Legends, whether that be pro play or even low tier bronze. She's just a champion that isn't picked. And that doesn't necessarily mean that she's a bad champion, it just means that she's not as good as everyone else. There's plenty of other champions in the game that do her kit far better. Just better champs, better picks. She's a jungler. Riot does try to say that she's a jungler and a laner, but why play her as a laner when the biggest benefit out of her kit comes out of jungle? So take her jungle. Just like with Graves. Why would you take Graves ADC when he just far scales higher just as a jungler? So with her kit, she's been bouncing around patch after patch, buff, nerf, whoever says so, but it goes back as far as patch 8.12. That was the last huge nerf to her kit. Let's take a look at it. You might see a few buffs within the kit actually as well. Winter's Wraith, starting with that one. That is her W ability. It is the one where she whiplashes and groups whatever's in front of her into a directional straight line. And at the end of that animation or cast of the ability, she applies a second stack of permafrost. Upon hitting them the first time, it applies one stack, and then the second time, it is a second stack on her permafrost ability. What they did back in 8.12 was actually buff the damage and decrease the mana cost for it in general. And then moving to the actual permafrost ability, we see here enemy champions, epic, large, medium, monster, super, and siege minions just no longer have a cooldown on them. There is a slight problem though with that. There's a cooldown on the ability. They can't just render it cooldown-less. There is a still cooldown, but just not on minions. They did remove the part where enemy champions don't have the cooldown. This is only for minions. I'm unsure where Riot slipped up on that, but their design team is probably just as weak as whoever does this update patch in 8.12 anyway. And then the real nerf that came in. Her passive, Fury of the North. The ice-breaking damage that is from permafrost no longer did 400 flat damage. 400 flat damage. Think about it. Level 1, 400 damage to your first camp in the jungle. That is ridiculous. Her clear time was crazy for all the epic camps at least. And then the rest of the game pretty much came down to how well your laners did and didn't just play style. But her clearing for her jungler was outrageous. Now it's a little bit weaker, or then it got a little bit weaker. Now she only did 10 to 20% of the target's max health, and it only caps at 300 towards these epic monsters. So, like, what really threw her out of the game? What threw her to the point where she's just not played? She's not even picked in pro play or even low tier bronze, which is where I am located. Low tier bronze. How the one elo, the one rank where almost every champ should be viable. Even her win ratios are pretty much non-existent in jungle. She's pretty much at the bottom for win percentage, right next to Twitch jungle. Yeah, I bet you pretty much forgot Twitch was a jungler. And Nunu jungle is pretty low as well, but we all know Nunu's kit is pretty much broken. It's just that so many people try to play the new champ and then just throw off his numbers. With Sejuani, no one's picking him. And then let's see. Currently, we're in patch 8.18 at the time of the release of this video. The immediate patch following of the patch 8.12 was the 8.13 patch, where they didn't really touch her at all. Riot was kind of busy trying to fix what they broke with the ADCs, fixing all of their nerf damages. And then we jump a little bit further ahead to a further patch, being 8.14. 8.14 was the next patch where she got touched on with her ultimate ability. Just another nerf, really. Glacial Prison, her ultimate. Max stun duration decreased to 1.5 seconds rather than 2 seconds. A slight change, but because of her damage already being massively shrunken, decreasing her utility also pretty fucked her in the jungle, or in just as a champion in general. Then we jump to 8.18. She didn't really get any other patches since then, which is the most recent patch. This is pretty much the total kicker in the ass for her gameplay in general. There's ultimately no reason to play her jungle anymore because of this right here. Her permafrost got its damage reduced again, and then another ultimate nerf. Her nerf on the ultimate, also with her ultimate ability having the stun aspect of it, it has a slow and an area of effect, which was reduced to 1 second from 3 seconds. So why even have the topic of Sejuani a thing? Why even discuss Sejuani? If she's not playable in the jungle, why consider her a champion in the game anyway? There's clearly better choices to play in all aspects of League, whether it be bronze, silver, gold, or even master tier. I think that she is still playable, not as a jungler, but as a support. Think about it. The strongest parts of her kit really have never been touched. It's her actual passive, not her passive to her skill, not the passive to her ultimate, just her default passive, which is called Fury of the North, where she gains frost armor. She basically gains super armor for 100% of total bonus armor and bonus magic resistance. That's crazy. In addition to that, it only lasts for 12 seconds after she's not in combat. And once she's autoed, or once she takes damage, the super armor buff lasts for 2 seconds. So she works really well as a tank bottom lane, especially engaging fights for your jungler or your ADC, of course. Just like how she worked as a jungle, of course. But the real secret buff to her kit that hasn't really been changed is the passive on her E, Permafrost. Her Winter's Wraith ability, that's the W, and her auto attacks, as well as the auto attacks from any ally champion that uses melee attacks to auto apply frost for her. Just like how Braum has his stacks applied, but his attacks don't scale as high with AP as well as Sejuani's does, and Sejuani has a better utility-based kit, simply because she's just so focused on slows and all of this armor. So with her kit, in the Winter's Wraith and all of these stuns, if you can take her support with your melee jungle, because there's not that many ranged junglers right now in the game. The majority of junglers that play the game are melee. Even Sejuani was a melee jungler until they nerfed her to the ground. But you take her support. Imagine a scenario where you go support, you send your ADC bot lane so they can get that free XP solo, while you leash your jungler throughout his entire first camp. You tank it all, of course. You leash the jungler all the way through his second camp, then you walk that jungler to the Scuttle Crab. After clearing Scuttle Crab, you may or may not meet the enemy jungler, but since your clear times are so fast, you'll already be there. Buff secured, and if you clear it fast enough, you might get a kill on the enemy jungler, or you can just gank mid or bottom. Yes, you will leave bot lane alone for what, one level? One level where you leave the enemy AD or your ADC alone. They may as well be an enemy if they don't treat you well enough. In this game, your entire team may as well be your enemy. But in this game, we have to work as a team. We have to find a way to utilize everyone together. Everyone has to work together to accomplish their goals, to beat the game. That's the whole point of League of Legends. It's a team-based game. And by God, there's no communication at the game at all anyway. Riot needs to find a way to add comms, but until then, this is the way that we're gonna do it. Is support mains in bronze. Yikes. So for runes, I find the resolve tree to be the best tree, clearly just because it's it utilizes her support kit too well. The Guardian tree, guarding your allies from extra armor and damage, just reducing damage that they take. You could go anything else out of that tree, like Grasp of the Undying or that anything else, but really, Guardian is where it's at. Protecting the ally and any ally from all damage is just too good to not take. Front of life, impairing the enemy of their movement speed and allowing them to walk up and come and auto for you is actually just as good as well. And then conditioning, where you get the extra armor and extra magic resist from your skills and champion design. That is broken, especially applied to her passive. It fits too well together. You could think, why not just go Aftershock? Once you throw your Q and stun them, you could do even more damage. Or why not just go Bone Plating? You can take even more damage. Because it doesn't work. It's not worth doing damage when you could do the same thing and not take damage. She's still going to do damage. You don't need the passive rune damage to do damage. You get all your damage from your jungler. That is it. All you have to do is protect your jungler. That's it. Especially if it's a melee jungler. Say you have a Master Yi. Master Yi, if you didn't know, bronze elo players, he has a slow start in the jungler. We have to help our junglers get to the point where they can become gold and silver and top tier players, but they're never going to get that with the trash tier supports that people are playing on a day-to-day basis. And then we top it off in the resolve tree with unflinching, of course, just because the other ones are trash. It's pretty unarguable there. Personally, secondary-wise, I think precision is the way to go. The extra attack speed is a little hard to not want to get. I feel like you can either go Triumph or the one that I have here. I much prefer Triumph, but I prefer the cooldown. It's pretty much situational with a precision tree, but the tenacity reduction is hard not to pass. The tenacity reduction is just too useful. There's gonna be stuns and slows on the enemy team, but since you have slow resistance in your passive and extra tenacity, say you get Merc Treads, you're gonna be unstoppable at that point, applying autos and stacks of permafrost throughout the game. So, case the matter is, we're probably just gonna have to take Sejuani support. I am gonna do a few more games to see if she is worth playing. I am looking for a better method, maybe even rotations if need be, for a bot lane support to have level 3, go mid, or level 6, roam, something. We can't sit bot every game, all game. We have to help the enemy team lose, because they're not gonna take that L by themselves. We gotta hand it to them. But thanks for watching. This has been the Sejuani support video. I do hope you support my video on Sejuani support. I might come out with some more content in regards to Sejuani support in this role once I play a few more games with her. I have played quite a few. The problem with my elo being in bronze still, even if I do perform a god tier leash, it's unguaranteed to have a good jungler keep that leash and know how to utilize it, which is why I'm really trying to emphasize roaming and helping and ganking with the jungler, so you make sure they don't die. You can die, that's fine, that's okay. Not too many times, of course. We're not trying to feed. This isn't a Scion build. This is a utility support build. But anyway, I thank you all for watching. This has been my video on Sejuani support. Tune in next time and see if we can find anything else to try and change the meta here and put ADCs back in their place. Thanks for watching.